4 ways a man checks on a woman before building a serious relationship. In this video, we will talk about what is important and what a man pays attention to before taking a serious step. Make that very decision, perhaps about getting married or creating a strong relationship, or it's a civil marriage. But before building a serious relationship, a man pays attention to some things. And for him, it's kind of a test. Women. So, what important points does a man look at before he makes that crucial decision for himself? And the first thing is a trust check. It's really important for a man to trust the woman who's by his side. Sometimes girls and women try to manipulate. Jealousy, they specifically create some situations so that a man competes and becomes jealous. But they often make, let's say, such a mistake and trap themselves. A man for some time, he might get caught in that trap for a while, but he won't make that crucial decision for himself. He won't enter into a serious relationship because he doesn't trust that woman. He doesn't know how she's going to act in different situations. Before a man decides, let's say, in his understanding of who the woman next to him should be, he needs to feel that he can trust her. So he can ask questions about the past, what the relationship was like, what was in the relationship. He might keep an eye on social media, actively watching how you handle your accounts, who you're messaging, who you're interacting with online, and how many men you have in your followers or subscriptions. And situations can be created. So it's not on purpose. He asked someone, persuaded them, but there are situations when a man can watch from the side. Perhaps he came to meet you from work. You didn't see that he saw this situation from the outside. When he, for example, starts asking you about something and you don't share the details about the situation, you start dodging it. For example, you kept your phone to yourself. And all of this tells a man that, for example, he can't trust the woman. But a situation was created where a man approached the woman to get to know each other. She didn't introduce herself to him by asking questions or sharing how her day went. The woman is sharing a situation and she's doing it calmly. Or, for example, someone calls her on the phone, or maybe even an ex-boyfriend, and she isn't shy about saying that everything is, for example, over. A man sees that a woman is calm. She is not hiding anything from him, that everything in her life is honest. And this honesty, even in relation to other men, gives a man the understanding that this woman can be trusted. If you're hiding something, keeping things secret, like conversations, locking your phone, or if you get messages from someone and you don't fully explain it, if you're being sneaky or evasive, a man won't make a decision about a serious relationship because you'll seem too complicated for him. Next, emotional maturity is the second thing that's really important for a man after. Trust. That is, trust is the main foundation on which everything rests, but also emotional maturity. So there might be things happening. There might be situations in your relationship, in your life, and he will be watching how you react. How do you react to conflict situations? How can you get out of them? Do you give in to your emotions and go into a frenzy? Do you start yelling? Or do you take a constructive approach to solving the problem, discussing it, and trying to find ways to resolve the situation while keeping your emotions in check? A man will pay attention to all of this. Naturally, if a woman is emotionally mature, she knows how to control her emotions and handle situations without getting personal, without throwing accusations, and without slipping into negative emotions. A man will really appreciate this. He'll understand that it will be easier to build a relationship with this woman in the future. A man will really like this moment. He'll understand that it will be easier to build a relationship with this woman in the future. He gives himself a little check mark. Let's say she passed the test. He will pay attention to what you do. How do you react to stress? So you either make some attempts to change things, or you cry and blame the whole world, or you start arguing. A man really pays attention to all of this. Even if he doesn't say anything about it, he's watching all of this. Especially if a man had some kind of childhood trauma. For example, he had a scandalous mother. For him, this is now a trigger, perhaps, and he understands that a woman should never be scandalous. Any references, for example, women's scandalousness will trigger him, and he will be like, no, 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 that's it. She's not right for me. That is, if you understand that emotional maturity is not your strong point, try to work on yourself. So in any case, this will be useful for a woman. Don't get personal, and don't try to blame everyone. And it's all about thinking about what the situation offers and what you need to do with it, what you can do with it. without falling into a negative pit. And one more thing, your attitude towards other people's problems. A man will also pay attention to what you say about those around you and how you handle other people's problems. And here, already, from the world of the man's feelings, that is what he considers right and what he considers the norm for his relationship. So, what's important for a man is a woman's ability to discuss problems constructively. That is, a woman's ability to pronounce, to talk with, in certain situations, without causing emotional roller coasters, without throwing tantrums, having fights, or breaking dishes, and so on. Another check is her ability to provide support. Well, let's say it's a test for that kind of friend. For a man, the world is actually a bit more complicated than it is for a woman. From a young age, he's taught that he has to be strong, that he shouldn't cry, and that he's responsible for everyone around him, carrying the weight of responsibility for everything. It's actually often hard for him to carry that burden. When a woman comes into his life, he realizes that at some point he's taking on a bigger responsibility. And what happens at that moment? If at the moment when a relationship is starting, a man realizes that the fact that there's a woman next to him, she's beautiful, maybe even stunning, he likes her, and she says what he wants to hear. So he understands that she's like what he imagined for himself. And at that moment, he feels that she'll be by his side when there are some tough situations. So she can be with a friend. It's a huge test for him because when everything is going well for a man, naturally, he understands that a woman will be with him. But how she will act when tough times come up in life. And that moment can really scare a man. And for him, this will be, let's say, it could be an important test. And he'll be watching her reactions to his failures. So he might deliberately share that his boss punished him for something, took away his bonus, said he would fire him, or something like that, or that something didn't work out for him, or that his business is on the brink of bankruptcy. So any moments like that, if a man shares something with you, he's going to be watching a reaction, whether you'll support him in that situation or not. Next, it's a test of the ability to provide support. And here, men pay attention to whether a woman can be a friend in the relationship, because for a man, this is actually very important. A man often takes on a lot of responsibility in his life. Little boys are often told that you're a man, you shouldn't cry, you shouldn't be afraid. You have to take responsibility, you're strong, you shouldn't cry, and so on. And a man understands that he really has a lot of responsibility. And let's say there are a lot of restrictions, like you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. And a man, just like a woman, often feels scared, often doubts himself, and often worries about things. So if a man sees that a woman is with him, when everything is going well, but when he hits a rough patch, or starts having doubts, then it might be a test of her ability to support him, a test of friendship. So he might deliberately share some situations about what's going on with him, like problems, for example, issues with his business. He might tell you about problems at work, about the possibility of getting fired, or that something might happen. So here it is. During these moments, he will pay attention to what you say and how you behave. That is, if he understands that he sees a friend in you, that is, that you are ready to support him even in difficult situations, then he understands that this is the one. But if he sees some kind of negative reaction from you towards his problems, he'll start to doubt whether he's made the right choice. In fact, he will pay attention and observe. He'll be paying attention to your reactions, noticing your willingness to help, and whether you're ready to be by his side during tough times. This is something that's really important for a man. And another thing is checking for alignment of values. A man will ask you how you imagine your family, or will talk about his own. Talking about family preferences, like maybe he wants a big family with lots of kids, and he's sharing that with you. And at that moment, you might say, no, I want just one child, or I don't want kids at all. And that's already a mismatch in values. And here, both people need to be completely honest with themselves and with each other. Because if at that moment someone starts to play a role, then at some point, he deprives himself of the desire to live. So life is as you want it to be, and at some point it deprives your partner, perhaps, of what he dreams of. That is, for example, if you think about the fact that, well, he wants a lot of children after the first transition. But the man tells you that you're going to have a lot of kids. You give birth to the first child, for example. You're already married, and then the man says, Well, it's time for the next one. And right then, the woman starts to freak out. She doesn't want, for example, any more kids. So this alignment of values is really important, actually. And here honesty and openness are needed. Here it is necessary to talk with the heart, with the soul. What you want from your life is something you need to talk about honestly. Otherwise, if you're playing some kind of game and thinking that later something will change or be fixed, nothing really gets fixed. And here the man will talk to you about goals, about family and marriage, and we'll talk about finances. Well, that is, he will hear how you feel about money, how you feel about spending. He will watch how you spend. And here, again, the priorities of a man, how he perceives what is normal for him and what is not normal for him. That's all I have for this video. This was me, Elisa Vardomska. I hope for your likes and subscriptions. Leave a comment about what you'd like to discuss in my new videos. Bye. Don't forget to hit the bell and see you all later.